All right. Three, two, one. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Carly BTV. I'm Dr. Carlisha Booz. It's April, and today I'm going to start that over. April is National Stress Awareness Month. Three, two, final one. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Carly BTV. I'm Dr. Carlisha Booz. It's Wellness Wednesday, and this month, which is April, is known as National Stress Awareness Month. And this morning, we're joined by Misha Blaze. She's a licensed professional counselor at Piedmont Macon Behavioral Health, right?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
great.
correct.
So thank you so much, Misha, for coming on the show. We're just here to talk about stress awareness. So our first question would be, what is stress and how can it negatively affect people?
So, stress is a physical and emotional response to high demands in our lives. And for some individuals, they can handle stress depending on the severity of it. Some symptoms you might experience when you're underneath stress is high anxiety, depression. Sometimes that kind of impacts your appetite, where you're eating little or maybe you're overeating and kind of deal with the stress. Some individuals might lean towards substance like alcohol, marijuana, or any other forms of substance to kind of like calm their nerves or just kind of help them feel relaxed a little bit too. Sometimes it can lead into physical symptoms where you're grinding your teeth all of the time, or constantly you're not being mindful what's happening around you because you're just so hyper focusing on what you need to do. And over time, that starts to impact your mental health because now it's impacting your daily functioning. Responsibilities, you're pretty much getting pushed aside, and your
Right,
mental health
right.
has become severe.
Okay, so now that we've been given those examples, can you just talk about ways people can manage that stress?
Absolutely. Well, first, I want to say that not all stress are bad. However, it becomes a problem, like I said, when it starts impacting your daily functioning. One thing you can do is prioritizing the things that you have, because sometimes we get so overwhelmed with everything we have to do, and we try to do everything at once, and that's not possible, which then leads into stress. So, prioritizing the things that's the most important. One thing I usually tell patients that I work with is when you have a lot of responsibilities and you're starting to feel overwhelmed, write down a list of them from the most important to the least important. And out of that list, focus on the top three. Out of that top three, focus on the top two. Out of the top two, focus on top one, and keep doing it until the tasks are done. So that way, when you're able to kind of focus on one thing, it doesn't feel like it's too much.
Okay.
And also another thing you can do too is support, right? You can also lean to family and friends and kind of talk about the things that you're doing. And also, if you don't have to do it alone, you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
But also is, meditation, deep breathing to kind of help you focus. But if all those things are not really working, talking and prioritizing and your mental health is still, a declining, or
Mhm.
maybe substance use starts becoming an issue, become too codependent on it, then maybe it's probably time to seek a professional help. And here at Piedmont Macon Medical, that's something that we definitely help with is mental health and substance use.
So my question is, when when will a person realize that, that stress has become chronic and now it's time to seek professional help? Can you just talk about that for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So usually one thing I always tell individuals, like how do you know when to get professional help is when your daily functioning is being impacted. Like for example, if to the point where the pressure or stress becomes too much where you just stop caring in general, you're calling out of work all of the time, or maybe you're going to work and when you go home, you're just sleeping a lot, or you're not eating, you're not engaging as much before, or you're just getting so stressed and so worried, just the thought about going to work or engaging in those activities is just really sickening physically, you start experiencing some symptoms and you just can't seem to shut out those worries, then maybe it's also time to kind of get some help. Or like I also said too, sometimes addiction, if you find yourself drinking more than you normally have or
Mhm.
smoking more, whatever it may be, and you realizing like, hey, I'm becoming codependent on this thing and I can't do it on my own, then it's probably time to come seek professional help.
Okay. So obviously, you mentioned about the different resources. You mentioned briefly. Can you elaborate on different resources that Piedmont Macon Behavioral Health has that, people can take advantage of if needed?
Absolutely. So it just depends on the severity of the mental health. I always say when it comes to mental health, there's like a spectrum of it. For some individuals, sometimes like their mental health becomes very severe that they probably need medication or maybe they're just tuned out. So one resources we have is inpatient. basically where you kind of stay a little bit for maybe 3 to 7 days, depending on the severity and what you're dealing with. You get to still have group therapy and meet psychiatrists. And also being an inpatient is like a way to kind of take your time away from all those stressors because you're not engaging with all of that stuff. It's, behind you and you can just focus on yourself. And then once you're done with that level of care, we also provide outpatient services. Basically, when you come here for a few hours from 8 to 2 and then you go home afterwards, we provide process group where in therapy where you get to process the stressors that you've been experiencing. You get professional feedback from the therapist. But most importantly, too, you're not alone because you have other peers in the group who are probably going through similar experiences and you
Mhm.
feel less alone too as well.
Okay.
And we also have provided services for addiction too as well. If it's addiction that's something that becomes a problem too, we provide the same form of therapy for them, but more tailored to substance use.
Okay.
And also, they also have psychiatry medication management here as well too, an outpatient.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Misha, for just coming on the show and just sharing this information because a lot of times people don't understand that stress can, be fatal. So
Absolutely.
this is very important for us to spread awareness here in the month of April. So thank you so much for coming on Carly
You're
BTV.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.